It is Indiana in the Morning, always presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us. 12 minutes after 8 o'clock on a beautiful sunny Wednesday morning. Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi is in the studio with us this morning, and our visit with Mr. Manzi, presented by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Law Firm and Best Personal Injury Lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. The Matrica Verana case yesterday, actually ending before it really began in Indiana County Court, at least the trial portion of it. And Mr. Manzi, of course, was the prosecutor in that case. And it's interesting to watch and to read about the case. I'm sure it would have been a fascinating one for observers and probably for guys like you. The pros at the business. Cases like this, they are real standout cases, aren't they? We want to get into it a little bit about what made this case such a challenge and so unique.
Oh, sure. And a case like this there's so much work and so much effort to go into it. It's a very large puzzle, and you're filling every piece here and there over a period of years. I mean, it's not a situation where this happened back on September 10th of 2021. So it's not a situation where the police do a couple things and they wrap it up and they're done and we just sit on it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of investigation that continues after that. There's a lot of investigation that continued up to and including during jury selection, where we were still continuing to gather information because in a digital age, things can happen very quickly and there's still a lot of information out there to get.
Wow. You mean there was evidence that was being discovered even that late in the process?
Yeah, part of anything that we work on when someone's an inmate at a county jail or a state prison, we continue to listen to phone calls and listen to their messages. They're told about it. Every prison call starts with a message saying, this is being recorded, and we're able to gather what their stories are. So many times what we have is, a defendant that tells the police, one story, and in fact, in this case, Verana told the police about 9 different stories as to what happened. But then as they are communicating with others while they're incarcerated, or, if they happen to have a cell phone, they begin telling others different stories. And then we're able to determine, kind of where the truth lies, where the lies are. We corresponded with other evidence. So we're really continuing throughout the entire time really working on that story to hammer down, because our goal is the truth. My goal is not a conviction. We don't have a little sticker chart in my office about convictions. It's the truth. And when we continue to work on all of that evidence through it, we're really able to narrow down what's being said, what can we back up with evidence, what the truth is.
So there's a lot of weeding that has to go through. In this case, when she was the one who called 911, tell me if I get this wrong. She calls 911. She reports an attempted suicide, and that 911 call would have been a part of the evidence that was presented. But police, as soon as they got there, something wasn't right.
Oh, absolutely. So, our emergency services, emergency management receives a 10-minute 911 call from Verana, and she reports it as a potential suicide. And it's a very difficult 911 call to listen to. And unfortunately, a jury would have had to listen to that, and I'm thankful they didn't. But it would have been very difficult to listen to. Now, as we begin our investigation, she told the police, I came into the room, I suspected a suicide, I immediately called 911. And our state troopers, when they got there, and even our EMTs at a citizen's ambulance, they knew something wasn't right. That doesn't jive with their experience in having to unfortunately go to suicide scenes. Mm-hmm. So our state police immediately began investigation. What we found out, when EMTs got there, Matthew was still alive and they took him, and unfortunately he didn't survive, but he was still alive in that apartment. What we found out is Verana's first call was not to 911. Her first call was to a boy, not a boyfriend at the time, but somebody she was interested in, that she called that person and sent a text message to them saying, "Don't come to the house, the police are here." That person is now doing 5 to 10 on drug delivery charges in state prison. So we find out that this goes on. She claims it's a suicide. She's not even calling 911 first. I mean, that's very cold.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the 911 call, just the forensics of listening to her voice and what she's saying and what she's not saying, it does not come across to anybody with common sense as this is a horrible accident or a suicide attempt. You can tell from listening that there's something more going on with her.
And as they investigate, then the different versions of the story come out. Evidently, what she was telling them didn't even sound right to her, and so she kept changing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our state troopers, they did a phenomenal job with this. And as you watch the interview process, she gives one story. They confront her with a piece of evidence. She then changes her story. They confront her with another piece of evidence. And finally, it just culminates in her admission, where she admits to taking a gun and shooting him. So it really just goes to show that you have somebody here who committed a horrible crime and then is really doing or saying anything they can do to wiggle out of it. And I really think that's what this trial would have been. I really believe she would have tried to use this as an opportunity to try to fool the jury, to try to, play some smoke and mirrors and have people look at things that really weren't relevant. And we were prepared for that. Throughout her stay at the county jail, she gave different version of events. This was going on, and we showed that couldn't have been going on. That was going on. We proved that to be wrong. So, she was telling different people different stories. I truly think, as common sense, the juries would have seen through that to say, you were there, you can tell us what happened. And the fact that you're given 7, 8, 9 stories just shows you know what you did was wrong.
This case shows us and is a great example of what it takes in order to get a conviction in a court case and how thorough prosecutors have to be in order to get to the bottom of things and find out exactly what did happen in any criminal case. In this case, you've got the many different stories. But you have the evidence that is really going to be the determining factor. So the teamwork, I guess that's what I'm getting at, the teamwork that is involved in making all of this come to the conclusion that we had yesterday, the number of different agencies and people involved in this investigation, the evidence that you compile and are prepared to use, sounds like you had a mountain of it. And you had to really decide what's the best way that is going to present this case here in court in order to get to the bottom of things and see if we have a convictable offense here.
Oh, sure. And you hit the nail on the head with the teamwork. This wasn't done because of one person. Any good thing in the court system happens because of a team. And we had members of the Pennsylvania State Police, Indiana Barracks, Kiski Barracks. We had members who are at BCI right now, computer crimes, serology, tool marks. I mean, we had so many different individuals just from the state police and their various resources. We had emergency services helping us out, citizens, ambulance. We had the jail working with us. Everybody in my office, this was an all hands on deck. Every single person in my office pitched in some way in order to get us there. It's just so much effort that is necessary to do that. And I'm blessed to have the people in my office and the people in our law enforcement community and our emergency services. I'm in my office working on Saturday night at 6 o'clock and I send an email message for something I need, hoping to get it early Monday morning. I get a phone call back 10 minutes later from somebody saying, hey, I'll go in and get that for you. No problem. I mean, there's not a single person there that was worried about shining a spotlight on me or taking credit. It really was a full teamwork effort, and I really want to emphasize that. This was done because of everybody in our office, in the state police, emergency services, everybody around that pitched in, willing to do everything they could because they want to get to the truth, and they knew how important this was for the victim's family to close that chapter in their life in a manner where they felt like it was as positive as it could be.
Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi is with us this morning. We're talking about the Matrika-Vrana case, which wrapped up in Indiana County Court yesterday, before it got to the trial phase when she reversed herself again and decided to plead guilty to third-degree murder. the role of experts in building a case and in presenting it in a courtroom is a part of what's going on here as well. The forensic evidence, the blood splatter you were telling me about, told a story, and the county coroner, the various different people who are involved with that, the experts in that. You had a medical expert, a doctor, who was prepared to testify, and you said that would have been a really interesting aspect of this case.
It would have been really interesting. We rely on experts. I mean, we work as attorneys. We're familiar with the law and we know how to present a case. But I'm no doctor. I'm no gun expert. I'm no mechanical expert. And we really rely on those experts to be able to give us the opinions necessary for better or worse. Again, our goal is not convictions. Our goal is justice. We want to get to the right end based on the right evidence. So we had a doctor in here who performed the autopsy. And based upon information that he gathered during that autopsy, he was going to be able to tell us pretty precisely how far the gun was away from the victim when it was shot and angle. And it really would have helped out with what we believe happened that day. And that's why we believe it happened that day. We have a gentleman here who has done 1,000 autopsies, who really knows that field very well, and is able to say, based upon my training, my experience, and my expertise, I can give you some very detailed opinions about what happened here. And then when we take those opinions and you couple it with the evidence from our blood spatter analysis expert in the state police, and then you couple that with the observations of the EMTs when they showed up, and you couple that with the information that our investigators are gathering from digital evidence and cell phones, it really puts together a full and complete picture of what happened.
What to you, in our closing moments here with DA Bob Manzi, what to you are the lessons, the messages that the public should take out of a trial such as this, out of a case such as this?
Well, I think there's just a lot that goes into it. And, one of the things that I really want people to know is we're always going to be working hard for the truth. Just because somebody's charged with something in the beginning, we're going to continue to work because we want to make sure those convictions are correct. And if somebody does commit this horrible crime, we're going to work hard to hold you accountable. We're going to work just as hard to make sure we have it right. If we come across evidence, experts, et cetera, that demonstrate to us, hey, that's your belief, your charge is wrong, we're going to follow that. And we want people to trust that the criminal justice system here in Indiana County is working hard, and we'll continue to work hard throughout all of the different partners to make sure we get it right.
Yeah, well, in this case, we finally did get to the bottom of it, and this case wraps up. Of course, there are always criminal cases coming up in Indiana County Court. DA's office very much involved in it, and the entire team in the law enforcement community. Hey, thanks so much for coming over and explaining to us. This was a really interesting thing to follow.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. There's a lot of things we can't talk about prior to a trial, but I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners.
Bob Manzi, DA from the Indiana County Court system, coming to visit with us today. It's Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Boomer Sports next, and then Matt is with us from the WCCS Newsroom.